Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. First, before we start tonight's show, I'd like to say something about what happened last night. Ladies and gentlemen, Buckeye Nation and college football fans everywhere. Today, Ladies and gentlemen, Buckeye Nation and college football fans. I hear myself echoing. Not very good. Today, we gather to celebrate a truly extraordinary achievement. The Ohio State Buckeyes are your college football national champions. The team has shown us what it means to embody excellence, resilience, the relentless pursuit of greatness. From the first snap of the season to the confetti falling on the championship trophy among the players on the stage, the squad has proven time in and time again that hard work, heart, determination can overcome any obstacle. To the players, you've carried the hope of the entire state on your shoulders. And you did it with grace. You did it with grit, a commitment to each other. You must have given us moments we'll never forget, moments of sheer brilliance, moments of nail-biting suspense, and moments that will go down in Buckeye history. To Ryan Day and the entire coaching staff, your leadership, strategy, and passion have been nothing short of inspiring. You not only built a team, but a family. Maybe a fraternity or a brotherhood, as they call it, that refused to give up no matter the challenge. So, today, we don't just celebrate a championship. We celebrate a legacy. The scarlet and gray will forever shine a little bit brighter. And the history books will forever tell the story of this incredible team. But this ain't no history books. This is 4th and 10U.
And I'm What's up, everybody?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to 4th and 10U live edition. We got a special guest in the back, which I'm going to bring up here shortly. But before we get started on tonight's festivities, right? Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, turn on the notification bell, right? Make sure that you join the chat. Come over we're on Twitch right now and X, by the way. So make sure on those side, you come down over to the YouTube side, join the chat. Put questions you have in the chat, super chat, whatever. We would really appreciate it. We do have some exciting news to drop later this evening, which I will be dropping. But before we get started, I just want to say thank you to everybody in the fan base. Everybody. What is up, Mike? How you doing?
Oh man, I'm just kind of recovering after seeing Ohio State win last night. But it's your night, so kudos,
My
congrats.
It ain't my night.
It could have been
it's
you.
The Buckeyes' night. That's what it is. And we have a lot.
I can't give it to the Buckeyes.
But it's all good, bro. I mean, I think overall, it was an amazing college football season, right? It wasn't just the same old story, the Alabamas and the Georgias or whatever. You had its ups and downs, right? You had pure competitive teams that were more balanced than ever. We talked about Texas and Ohio State. That team is like 1-for-1, almost the same team, right? I've talked to you about Oregon and some of the stuff that they have and whatnot, and how impressive they looked in their first season of being in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's been really, really interesting thus far. But to congratulate the 2025 college football champion, I have someone in the back. Most of you in the community probably know who this man is. He is probably one of the most knowledgeable Ohio State fans that I know. And without ado, Triple S, what is up, my friend? Triple S podcast. How you doing,
What's going
sir?
on, Ali?
Welcome to 4th and 10U. I've been wanting to have you on here for a hot minute. I love the Caleb Downs jersey.
I wish it was Caleb Downs. It's actually Marshawn Lattimore.
Ooh, even better. Even good. I would definitely take that in a heartbeat.
Absolutely.
I don't know if you know Mike on the mic. Mike's a big Texas Longhorn fan, but he knows college ball very, very well.
Good.
Sorry to hear that, man.
So what were your thoughts about last night?
We lost the champs, bro. I was gonna say we lost to the champs, Triple S. I can't be mad about it. It's all right.
Hey, you're right.
Yeah, sorry. I guess I'm a little bit delayed. I didn't hear what you were asking. My bad. Sorry. But Triple S, what were your thoughts about last night? I've said a lot of things. People already probably know I'm really high on the team, but I want your thoughts and honesty about what happened.
Just elation, man. I was dancing up in my living room where I watched the game until probably like 1:30 a.m. Even though I was supposed to work today, I ended up calling in sick because pretty tired when I woke up. But yeah, just elation is the main word I can use to describe it. There's a lot of people that I'm sure we'll get to talking about. So I don't know if you want me to get into that now, but to describe it in one word was just elation, just dancing, smiling. My face was cramping up from smiling so hard. To see what it meant to Ryan, to see what it meant to the kids. It was just it was a special night, and glad to be a part of it as a fan.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a special night, and I want to say it was a night of letting all your frustrations loose, right? And letting it all, just throwing it to the side. We saw Ryan Day, after he knew he was going to win it, throwing his microphone and everything. Like, I don't know where he threw it to, because nobody showed where it landed, but he tossed it really hard if he didn't see.
No, I saw that.
And it was amazing. And not just the game. I don't know if you've watched any of the footage in Columbus. The fans storming the stadium.
I saw
that. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying I saw that. Yeah, you keep going. Keep cooking.
Yeah, so it was really interesting. The fans were going nuts in the streets. Twitter was blowing up left and right throughout the entire game. You know what I mean? The Buckeye fans really showed up. So I congratulate them. Jeremiah Smith still proving to me he's pretty much the best receiver in all of college football. And I will argue that he's probably better than a lot of the starting wide receivers in the NFL today, where he's at right now. That's just my opinion. And I don't care what you say. The guy keeps proving it in and out no matter what. What else can I say? Judkins, amazing long run. I just wished he would have finished it and turned the burners on. I don't know why he didn't. Maybe he was just too
he turned
tired.
the burners on. He turned the burners on. His burners ran out of gas.
Okay. All right. What else? It was nice to see Sonny Styles finally show up in a game. Got a sack. I wish I would saw more of it though. I want to say the only thing that you could maybe pick on is maybe how we shot ourselves in the foot, to be honest, with the penalties, specifically on Igbinosun. That was the only issue. I don't know why. Dude, play prevent. All you got to do is stand between that and the goal line. Don't do anything else.
I think it was like 3rd and 13 or 3rd and 11. One of the two.
It was 3rd and forever. It was 3rd and forever. And I don't know what this guy was thinking, right? So there was that. It was an amazing night, to be honest. Go ahead.
From a non-Buckeye fan, Igbinosun, what did he get? 17 for the year? 17 penalties?
I'd be surprised if it was that low.
Yeah. Well, I know he had 16 after the first one, but he was that's his game. And in college, I mean, I hate to say it, but in college, sometimes pass interference is better than giving up the catch. So it's kind of sometimes it's bad, sometimes it's good, but that's kind of what he does. And so he'll have to clean it up if he wants to play in the pros. But man, I'm gonna tell you what though, I'm gonna interject into to the Buckeye fans on the screen. It was a complete game. I expected it to be more of a blowout. Notre Dame, I got to give them credit. They definitely showed some heart. But what I saw was Ohio State stuck to their game plan, stuck to what makes them good, stuck to the running game, stuck to getting the ball out quick to Ibuka and Jeremiah Smith. Even though Jeremiah Smith, he didn't have that great of a game. It was 3 catches for like 17 yards and a touchdown, and then he had that 51-yarder to ice it. And I remember Ali texting me, he goes, "I just want Jeremiah to get one catch to ice the game." And sure enough, he got that one catch to ice the game. But I saw Will Howard making quick decisions. I saw him pulling it down and running when he needed to. It was, and I think they mentioned it on the broadcast, but it was old school football. The QB run was when necessary. It wasn't a part of the game plan. It was just whenever it was needed. I do think it was a little weird at the end running the ball so much with the QB run until they did hit that 51-yard pass. But I think it was more just let the clock bleed out and don't let Notre Dame get any life. But I got to say, I was impressed, man. I was definitely impressed with the 4 games in the playoff and the culmination of getting the championship. I think and then hearing what Ryan Day went through and his family and just that team coming together and galvanizing after that Michigan loss, I think it was man, it was just fun to watch. I expected more of a boring national championship game, but I'm definitely impressed with how Ohio State handled the adversity and how Notre Dame put up a fight. But in the end, it was what it looked like on me. For me, what I expected was Ohio State to win, and a little bit closer than I expected. But both of y'all deserve to hold your head high because it was a dynamite game for y'all, and it was a dynamite finish to the season. And I mean, Ryan Day's 3rd all time in winning percentage, and it's just he needed the championship to validate his spot in the coaching hierarchy as active coaches, and now he's going down in history as one of the greatest coaches so far. And so it's going to be fun. I know a lot of people don't like him, and I know a lot of people don't like Ohio State. I mean, I'm one of them. I respect Ohio State. I respect what they do. I respect they always put out great talent. They always recruit great talent. They put down a quality product on the field, and it was really fun to watch last night.
I got to slightly disagree with you on one thing, Mike. You had mentioned that, we ran the ball with the quarterback, when it was there, but it wasn't necessarily part of the game plan. I vehemently disagree with that. Our leading rusher in terms of carries was Will Howard with 16. Early and often he was taking the Q run, design runs. He was also scrambling. There was a key 3rd and 5 on I think it was the 2nd or 3rd drive, and they showed it from the end zone angle. And all of his 4 or 5 targets were covered up. And he shuffled left, found a lane, took off. So, that was also part of it, improvising. But, when you carried 16 times, it wasn't 16 improvisation. There was a lot of designs in there as well, especially late.
No.
Last thing I'll say before I pass it back to you, when you mentioned, why were there so many QB runs late? I think that speaks to the trust that the staff has in Will Howard. This is a key moment. Emeka Egbuka, who you would also think they would trust, more than anyone. But he's a receiver. You're not going to pass the ball really in that situation much. But I think that just shows that the trust they had in Will Howard was higher than the trust they have in Judkins, maybe higher than the trust they even have in Trey Henderson. And they said, we're going to keep the ball in Will's hands. He's been running it well. And he held on to it, and he gained a few yards there. So,
yeah, and one quick thing to clarify what I meant by old school is it was the third and shorts to get the first down. It wasn't like that 18 play drive where the Notre Dame came out in the beginning and all they were going to do was run the ball with the quarterback. That's all that was obviously their game plan was to run the ball with quarterback. I loved the play calls when it was needed is what I meant is that like on the third and shorts, and it was the best option at the time. But Will Howard, I'm telling you, watching him at Kansas State for as long as I did and watching him do what he did this year and especially in this playoff, Ali's got me sold on the kid. If he can show that his decision making is as quick as it looked in this playoff, that kid might have a future in the NFL. But I do think that I don't think there was much improvisation as I honestly didn't know he carried it 16 times. So I believe it was like 8 was the last 2 drives. And so he ran when needed. It wasn't an obvious like, hey, we're just gonna run the ball with Will Howard like they were doing with Leonard. It was more of a third and short, and if they needed a fourth and short, it was obvious they were gonna go with Will Howard, which is what I mean by old school. I don't know how old you are, brother, but I'm a little bit. I'm 40, and so watching the game plans now where it's mobile quarterback, and they just do all these design QB runs. It's just like that. It's obvious that they're just trying to get their best athlete in space, but with Will Howard, it was more, like you said, the trust in him. And I agree with you 100%. The trust in Will Howard over the trust with Judkins and Henderson. And I mean, after Egbuka had that fumble, and Ali had mentioned it in the chat that they hadn't lost a fumble since Penn State. So it was definitely smart putting the ball in your most trusted ball handler at the end of the game for sure.
Ironically, the lost fumble in that Penn State game was Will Howard through the end zone, but he's come a little way since then. So.
But what I'm saying was uncharacteristic is what I was trying to explain to him. Here's the reality for me is that I do agree with what you said about the fact that they trusted Will Howard and Judkins and Travion Henderson and whatnot. And I want to just backtrack a little bit about what I've been talking about with Will Howard, right? The guy has a lot of talent. But his biggest talent to me is his leadership. And what I'm talking about is go watch the conversations that people have with Will Howard. The guy sounds so professional. The guy talks about, his team and I mentioned it earlier, this is a family, a fraternity, a brotherhood that they'll have for their whole lives, right? Because it's a lifetime, because they'll always be known as champions no matter what. He has a way of getting teams to gravitate to him. He was new to Ohio State. It's not like he's been in the program for 4 years. He was a transfer that we brought in this year, right? And he came from a program where he was the Big 12's player of the year. He did take Texas to the Big 12 championship game and had them in overtime. Lost by 3 points, I think it is, or something like that.
Yeah, he lost on a fumbled snap on the goal line.
Yes. So that being said, the guy had talent and he was able to run the ball, which is the main reason why they brought him to Ohio State, because he had that dual threat ability. He also has an arm on him, right? A lot of people don't give him credit. I actually think he's a lot more of an accurate passer than what people give him credit for, right? Look at that teardrop. That it wasn't the Jeremiah pass, not that one. But there was a floater that teardropped right in perfectly that was kind of covered on the right sideline. I want to say it was to Carnell Tate, I think it was, on the side. And I was just like, man, talk about a beautiful throw. He knew exactly where to put it. And it was right in the spot that even if the receiver didn't catch it, nobody else was touching the ball. right?
I think you're talking about the crossing route, right? Where I think he started left and he crossed over to the right, running behind linebackers. And like you said, he had to put touch on it, locked it right over the linebackers, but it wasn't even to the point where, you know, Carnell had to jump or anything. So I definitely agree on that ball. That was a great ball. Yeah, that was a really good ball. In every pass, you go from the beginning of the playoffs, you go to earlier in the season, in fact, because I've been seeing this all year. And to preface it, in the beginning, I was a naysayer when it comes to Will Howard. I didn't think he was going to be anything when it came to the NFL. But as I watched him more and more, he started growing on me, specifically in the playoffs, just to be clear about it. And I think that's important to know. If you can play your best game when it matters the most, which the playoffs matter, right, more than anything, that's a guy that I kind of like to have in my back pocket if it's my team, personally, right? And from the get-go, look at all the deep 20-plus yard passes the guy throws. It's never underthrown. It's always right there perfectly in the receiver's hands or ahead of the receiver who can run and stick his arms out and catch it. That's how it is every time, right? Every pass. Even that pass to Jeremiah, which is the big one, which iced the game, right, in my opinion. That pass was beautiful, bro. It's a perfect
tier. What was better,
that
pass? Hey, Triple S, what was better, that pass or the pass that Leonard threw?
You're talking the pass to Jeremiah Smith, or which pass that Leonard threw? The one to Greathouse?
The last one. The one to Greathouse that was like, I mean, honestly, I think it was his best throw all season. And I think both of them were good, but I think that the accuracy and the location of that pass that Leonard threw might have been a little bit better.
I would agree, because if we're going to nitpick, and I have a little note I want to kind of say about nitpicking in terms of Ryan Day and Will Howard that they talked about in their presser. But if I was to nitpick, the deep ball to JJ, I would say that he could have even put it maybe another step or two out, and he's waltzing into the end zone.
A touchdown for sure.
He had to slow down just a little bit to the point where he was caught, which is kind of a blessing and a curse, because we were able to bleed more time and bleed their time out. But I think a touchdown would have also just iced the game as well. They weren't going to go and score 2 more touchdowns with.
No. Either way, I was happy. I personally, at that moment, just wanted to get the first down, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly.
So whatever we had to do, and that was, I mean, shout out to Chip Kelly and Will Howard and the team that they have been, the tandem that they've had, right? This is a guy that Will Howard, was new. Chip Kelly was new to the program too. A lot of these guys and plays that he had to build up, he had to kind of do it on the fly. If you remember, Ohio State had hired a different offensive coordinator, Bill O'Brien, who eventually became the Boston College coach in the same year. He was with us, a month or maybe 2? And then
I think it was less than that.
Less than a month. He was here for like 2 weeks. Yeah. It was ridiculous. And then all of a sudden, we got brought in Chip Kelly, which I knew it was going to be an exciting offense. I thought that maybe there was going to be a little bit more of a transition to his offense, right? And there wasn't. From the beginning of the season, it kind of clicked. It clicked quick. There was some growing pains at times, right? And maybe some coaching game planning that needed to be fixed, hence the Michigan game. But I think they learned every time they lost, even after the Oregon loss early in the season, which there's some reasons why that happened, and that we'll argue it at a different time. I felt they got better. They learned from it and moved on very quickly, right? Same thing with Michigan. Look what happened. Perfect timing. We lost to Michigan. Oh, we got Tennessee. Look what happened. We started super fast, explosive, no nonsense football. Same thing with Oregon. And we carried that all the way to Notre Dame, right?
And we hadn't started fast all year, if you remember. Like, I think there was a note during the Tennessee game where we had only scored more than 7 first quarter points once in the regular season. And against Tennessee, I think it was 21 in the first quarter. And against Oregon, I think it was 28. So, and then back, I think against Texas, it was 7-7 after the first quarter, because then it was 14-7 with the last play of the first half. So back to our regular ways against Texas. But those first 2 playoff games, like you said, those were, those were not the common theme for us. We were used to slow starts, getting into a rhythm late, and then kind of pouring it on. But it was kind of the opposite in the first 2 playoff games. So.
And I'll tell you what, that Texas game is what I mentioned on the review too. Is that I was shocked at Ohio State. I felt like they had to really work in that Texas game to score on that first drive compared to what they did in Oregon, what they did against Tennessee, which is why I had hope watching that game because I did think, I was like, okay, well, Ohio State had to work for that, so maybe Texas D is here to really play. And then they gave up that damn screen. But it is what it is. I'm glad.
That was
I'm glad we
a
lost the
wild
chance.
Play call to send
Man,
pressure,
I couldn't believe it, dude.
And you're taking, I think you sent your nickel I don't know if it was your outside corner or your nickel, who I'm assuming is a fast guy who can probably tackle pretty well. And you take him out of the picture. And if I'm a defensive coordinator or head coach, I'm thinking a limited time screen, draw, or maybe they just run the ball and see what they get. I'm not blitzing into any of those 3 things. Like I'm sitting back in probably a zone so that we have eyes on the ball. Maybe you send 1 extra man out of the zone, but I'm still playing zone and behind it. And the fact that they sent that type of blitz is wild.
There were 2 play calls in that game there were literally 2 play calls in that game by Texas that I didn't understand. It was Kwiatkowski calling that defensive pressure because he did send a nickel blitz, and then the toss left. I just didn't. Those are the 2 play calls that really cost us the game. And but either way though, back to Ohio State, it was. I do think it was well deserved. There's a lot of haters out there, y'all. There's a lot of haters about Ohio State, and maybe it's Urban Meyer. Maybe it's Urban Meyer. Maybe it's I don't know why. I have my own feelings about him, but I've always respected him. I don't like, there's teams out there I definitely don't like, but I respect him. And what Ohio State done is, especially what Ryan Day is doing. And I get the knock on him not beating Michigan, blah, 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 blah. He's 49-1 against Big Ten schools outside of Michigan. And the guy's like 69-10 or 70-10 now, I think, in his first 5 years or something like that. And so eventually, everybody hated Tom Brady, especially Dolphin fans for a long time. But eventually, once he went to Tampa Bay, you just got to respect greatness. And right now, what Ryan Day's doing, you can't argue against him. And now that he has a championship, you really can't argue against him. So y'all deserve your props. Ohio State deserves to bask in this for a little bit. And I do like how I don't know if we're going to talk about this later, but I do like how the odds have Ohio State and Texas as the favorites next year. That's going to be a hell of a fun season next year, man.
I don't know if we deserve to be the favorites quite yet. I think that's a little bit too soon to do that. But I do want to comment on something since we're talking about highlights to me of the game. And there was 2 plays specifically that it just impressed me a lot, right? Number 1, we've talked about Keyshawn Judkins being this physical runner, right? He doesn't shy away from physicality. He'll hit you before you hit him, to be honest, right? And he's that style. And he's never been the burner beat, like he's fast and has the ability to burn, but you see more Travion Henderson running that way, right? The big run by Keyshawn Judkins tells me that, he can be a burner when he wants, and I'm glad he put that on display, right? I loved it. I also think he's a lot more shiftier than what people give him credit for. When it comes to switching gears and moving, shifting at different angles when needed. I think he can do it very effectively. Very similar to Jahmyr Gibbs. Now, I'm not saying he is Jahmyr Gibbs, but I say he has that kind of talent that he can do that at times, right? That's what I'm going to say. That play really impressed me. Now, the other play that really impressed me, and this is more going back to Will Howard, is the touchdown that he threw to Keyshawn Judkins, where he went out and it looked like he was running. He dragged the whole defense with him and then turned angle, lopsided, 1 foot on the ground, threw it like Mahomes to Judkins. Amazing play. The guy can play, make, changes in a moment. That, again, impressed me for Will Howard. So shout out to him. Those were the 2 highlights that I liked. Of course, I liked the throw to Jeremiah Smith. Who doesn't? That's a given. So I wanted to go with something a little bit different. What do you think, Triple S? What were your 2 plays that you thought highlighted it for you?
Let me. I got to kind of think about that. You took one of mine, which was the scramble right in the red zone and then lofting it to Judkins. That was a big one for me.
Yeah.
And how about this? It's a play that doesn't even technically count as a play because it's a penalty. But Ohio State got our first holding call since week 4. Tyleik Williams was called on he was held on that play. I don't know if you follow Barstool Tate, but they were in the betting cave, and he had confetti that he popped out and popped the confetti when we got our first holding call since September. You'd think with guys like JT Tuimoloau and Jack Sawyer, Tyleik Williams, all the studs that we have up front, like maybe those guys are held every now and then, but not according to the refs that we've had week 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, all the way till the national championship. Before we move on, I want to make a couple notes on Will Howard. And we've talked about him a little bit, but a few things that we've missed. I mentioned earlier about the press conference, the post-game press conference, and one of the things that Ryan Day said that really impressed me. It's not something that you can see, necessarily watching the game live, but according to Ryan Day, he said that a lot of maybe 80% of the plays that Ohio State ran on offense, they had 2 or maybe even 3 plays called in the huddle or built into a play call. And when they got to the line, it was up to Will Howard to get them checked into the right play. And he said, at a 70 to 85% clip, he was picking the right play, making the right decisions. So I think that really bodes well for him, with NFL scouts, the fact that he has the ability to do that. The other thing I wanted to mention was I highlighted the scramble and finding Judkins, so we mentioned that already. I want to keep it objective, and there were a few negatives. I mean, you go 17 for 21. That's pretty damn good. But out of those 4 misses, the first miss was that wheel route to Henderson, which was almost picked off. They both kind of had a shot at it, but he did have a couple of big misses. The first miss kind of, I think, would have made a huge difference. The game could have probably been a rout had he made this throw. It was 3rd down. Down the left sideline, he slant and go to Carnell Tate, and he overthrew him. I think the ball landed just like a yard or 2 out of bounds. At that point, we were up 28-7, and it would have been 35-7. That would have, and I think just momentum wise and score wise, because we didn't score again for a good while, right?
Yeah,
so I think that was a big miss. Jeremiah Smith leaking into the flat as well on 3rd down later in the game. He missed that throw as well.
Real quick, Triple S. I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're
Mike,
good.
You have a guest coming?
Okay.
Yeah, just leave him in the back.
Oh, okay. All right. No worries. Let me know if I have to bring him up. No worries.
No, after Triple S is done, we'll bring him up.
Okay, no worries. Keep going, Triple S.
Awesome. So that was the couple negatives I wanted to bring up. Other than those, couple bad throws, I think he played lights out. I had talked to Tony, who runs the great show, The Blitz Pickup. Check them out if you haven't already. About kind of Kyle McCord versus Curtis Rourke versus Will Howard. And one of the things that we had talked about was, does Will Howard have the ability to play in a quick timing offense? And honestly, more than a lot of the games that we played this year, I thought that we did that quite a bit and quite well in this game. He got the ball out quick and was very decisive. And then I just want to give him his props on a couple of major accolades that, when you hear them, you're like, what the hell? Like he did that. So the first one is that he broke the completion percentage record for Ohio State, which was previously held by CJ Stroud at 71.9%.
Wow.
He finished with 73% completions in 2024. He led the FBS in QBR. I think he came into the national championship with 2nd in QBR, 2nd or 3rd. And his QBR in the national championship bumped him into 1st place on the season. So those were the main 2 I wanted to shout out. And again, I mentioned Kyle McCord and Curtis Rourke. I've heard those names a lot in the Dolphins community because me and Ali are both also Dolphins fans. As people that
me too.
Fan base has. Oh, okay, nice. There you go, Mike.
Life, Triple S. I'm a lifer, bro. I've been my dad. They drafted Dan Marino the year I was born, so my dad had season tickets. Some of the greatest games. That's how I got on with the Defense tailgate with El Capitan. That's why I'm here. That's why Ali's here. So it's all started with the Dolphins.
Awesome. But yeah, like I've heard the name Kyle McCord more than Curtis Fork. Curtis more a little bit more recently. I've heard both of those names as kind of, you know, third, fourth, fifth, and beyond round targets for the Dolphins to bring in as, you know, developmental / backup guys. And I've been pushing Will Howard because I'm like, I think this guy's better than both of those guys. You know, Kyle McCord, it's easy to make that comparison because he was on our team last year, and he didn't have like many of these accolades that Will Howard has. He doesn't have the mobility that Will Howard has. So I think that this is going to do wonders to kind of elevate his name and put him into some of those conversations. Because I think that he has, you know, a better NFL skill set than Curtis Fork does, than Kyle McCord does. And I also just think he was a better college player than both of those guys as well. So I'll land there.
Yeah. So I want to touch on something you said, and I'd mentioned this. Ali was telling me before the national championship game, he wasted his entire day at work one day watching video of Mr. Howard, and I told him what I wanted to see. I wanted to see quicker decision making because he mentioned him as a potential target for Miami, and I do want to get more into the draft show. And man, Triple S, you're welcome to come on for the draft show too. But I did see quicker decision making in this game, and knowing that he was able to read the defense and make the call. And really, he put him in the right position. I mean, what did he start? 14 of 14 or 13 of 14 or something like that? Like that. Yeah, he couldn't miss. He set a record for most consecutive completions to start the national championship game. And I saw efficiency. I saw quicker decision making. I saw improvisation. I saw and one of my things about him is I'm a big body quarterback. I don't really like these guys like Tua and even Bryce Young and Carolina, even Kyler Murray. And Kyler Murray's got a little different skill set, being able to run like he can. But I like the bigger bodies. They last longer. They're healthier. They tend to play longer. And Will Howard has all that, but I did see quicker decision making. And so I do think you're right. I think of those three, he has the best skill set for sure. I think he's going to be kind of like I don't know. I think he's going to be a late round gem in this draft. I do have to watch a little bit more tape, and I do want to watch him at the combine, and I want to see his downfield accuracy a little bit more. I do think you saw glimpses of it being really, really good. But I have an opportunity to ask both Buckeye fans. I'll start with Triple S and then Ali. I want to hear your take too. Are y'all worried about the defense next year?
Well, can I just cut in real quick, Triple S? I apologize. I'm so sorry. Real quick, the one thing that a lot of people don't give credit to Will Howard for, and this is part of one of his, I don't know if you want to call it talent or like attributes that I think that people need to know. There's some parts of we'll just say Miami fan base, the Miami Dolphin fan base, that think that Will Howard won't have the ability to run a complex offense that Mike McDaniel has as a Dolphin. I'm sorry, I don't think any outside of Zark's offense. I don't think that there's any other offense that is as complex than Chip Kelly's offense. So I think both of those, both for Texas and Ohio State, both their programs run a scheme that's very complex. It has a lot of detail, and you have to pay attention to detail. And that's something that he did very, very effectively. Like you said, Triple S, he's led QBR and having like 3 plays called that he can call out of, and he just has to make the adjustment every time. And the guy had a higher completion rate than CJ Stroud, who, let's not forget, CJ Stroud had some really good wide receivers, right? We had Garrett Wilson, we had Marvin Harrison, we had Chris Olave, right? Mm-hmm. So you look at it, the teams are pretty much the same, and this guy is, beating, having that record. I think that's really, really impressive, right? And I think people need to give the respect to him. I'm not saying that he has to be the number 1 pick overall or the number 13 where we're drafting at all. I still think that if I'm in this low seconds or maybe the 3rd round, I'm going to kick the tires on it. I'm going to call him and say, hey, or find out more information to see if I'm going to pick him there. That's where I'm at right now. Go ahead.
I was I could see late. I could see third round, maybe trading in late to the third round, early fourth round in our to grab him there. I think second round's more of a reach. But I have to see. I really have to see his combine. I got to see the downfield accuracy.
He's in the
I got to go
Senior Bowl
back and
too.
watch the tape of his downfield accuracy all season. So because a
You-
lot of
you-
Chip Kelly, and don't take this the wrong way, but a lot of Chip Kelly's
Mhm.
offense is a lot of the same way McDaniel does. It's a lot of crossing routes. It's a lot of swing routes. It's a lot of quick slants. Take it to the house with the wide receivers doing the run after the catch. So I do want to see, because the thing is when you got a team when you have a team full of speedsters at wide receiver with Malik Washington, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, even Jonnu Smith in the seam, you got to be able to throw the downfield pass. And that's where Tua, I think he's handicapped there. I think he, everybody wants to talk about to his ball placement, blah, yada, yada, yada. We all three know he doesn't have the arm strength to lead a receiver downfield. He's got to assume the receiver is going to beat the defense and then lead them that way. And half the time they're waiting for the ball to get there anyways. But anyways, I do want to ask this question. I don't know if you have a topic, Ali, going up about next year's Ohio State squad, but I want to ask Triple S first. What I can't get away from right now is how much talent y'all are losing on the defensive side of the ball. And I'm wondering if you're at all concerned about a national championship hangover with the defense, or even just losing the talent and the leadership you're losing. Are you concerned going into next year?
I wouldn't say I'm concerned. And here's why. For one, the defense is going to get worse. We were the number one defense in the nation this year, so it's not like it can. I mean, technically, I guess it could get better, but I don't think it'll be better. We return, in my opinion, one of the top defensive players in the nation, Caleb Downs. So that brings me a lot of confidence. I'm hopeful that we retain Jim Knowles. I don't know if you've heard, Ali, but there's some rumors that Oklahoma is trying to bring him in. I hope that doesn't occur, because I think he's a fantastic DC. But you're right. We're going to be losing a lot of talent. We're losing our entire starting four up front. Both edge rushers, both D tackles. Cody Simon, our number one linebacker, is a senior. He's graduating. Davison Igbinosun might return. So that might be one corner we're returning. But Denzel Burke is gone for sure. Jordan Hancock is gone for sure.
Ransom is
gone for sure. Mm-hmm. There's some studs that we have coming up. It's Ohio State. We recruit with the top programs in the country. So there's names that I'm confident and hopeful can produce. Mm-hmm. Can I say definitively they will? No. So I would say I'm cautiously optimistic. And again, I'll reiterate, Caleb Downs gives me a good bit of confidence that we can be at least
he's
a decent defense.
Yeah, he's a nightmare, bro. I'm telling you right now, I've told Ali ever since we started doing the show. I'm scared of him next year against Texas already. Like he's just his football IQ and his ability to show up when needed. It's I mean, he could feasibly be a first round defensive target when he enters the draft, and that's off of this year. Just to think he's going to get another year better, and if Knowles does stay, gets another year in the same system, it's going to be. Man, I think that kid is. I think he's special. Ali, are you concerned? I think I know your answer because you know the pipeline coming in. But I'm gonna switch it up about the defense. Are you worried about a national championship hangover and early in the season next year, especially playing Texas and some of the other teams that y'all have on the schedule?
I'm not really concerned about a hangover. I think we're going to be very competitive. We have a 5-star quarterback. Saying that is going to probably take over. Just like what Triple S said, we have names that we think is definitely going to be good coming in. Some names that I'm going to throw out a little hint out there that we may have someone's parents coming up on the show at some point. I'm working on that. Stay tuned, Triple S. I'll talk to you at some point to tell you about it once I know for sure. And there's a lot to be hopeful for if you're an Ohio State fan. So I know we're favored. I don't look too much into that. To be honest, I think we're going to be competitive. I think we're going to be really Big Ten competitive football. Like that's what we're trying to shoot for. If we get into the playoff, great. Am I going to say we're going to run the table? Obviously, no. No, I don't think we're going to do that. But we definitely have a lot of turnover to take care of, but we have a lot of talent that is going to come in right behind it. There's a name I was just thinking about when we were talking about defense that I'm kind of excited for. And let me just, and maybe you can remind me of what his name is, Triple S. It's the kid from Texas. And I want to say he went to McKinley High School. I want to say he's a linebacker.
Oh, that's Riley Pettyjohn.
Yeah, I'm kind of excited for him. I've watched some tape on him. He looks like he can definitely develop and be a big time name for us. The other guy that I'm really excited for, I know I brought up Sand. It is his era, at least for the next year or two. But there's a guy that is a 2025 commit that I'm currently going to be putting out an article about. And if you haven't already, you've seen it on the bottom, our Twitter handle. Go to x.com and go to at 4th and 10U. Please follow us there. Me and Mike are going to start putting out articles about people in college football, recruits, people and that we tape on. You're cutting out.
Not just Ohio State guys. This is just an Ohio State. Oh.
Yes, I'm going to be there's some news. Wait till the end that might surprise some of y'all. So just wait for that. But it's not going to be just Ohio State. We're going to do all college football, right? I might even go to what is it? The Mountain State Appalachian State Championship games that they have every year. I might even go to one of those games. You know what I mean? And actually do an article on somebody. You know what I mean? I'm going to try to go to as much college football content as we can, not just Ohio State. It just happens that I'm an Ohio State fan and we won the national championship. So obviously we're going to talk about it.
I am in the greatest state for high school football. So I'll try to go to some high school football games with some of the top recruits coming out of Texas too.
There you go. But ultimately, the guy that I was talking about that I think is going to be a big time star, even if because of all the talent we have at Ohio State, even if he goes somewhere else, I think he's the next name to look at. Tavian St. Clair. I think St. Clair is probably going to be one of the best, if not the best, dual threat quarterback coming up in college. The guy has an arm. He reads progression beautifully, has a great throw, very accurate in runs, very, very fast. He's a name. He's a leader. I've watched some of his high school tape. The guy already looks good. I'm sold. So hopefully they can really develop him going forward. What do you think about that name? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say his size jumps off the page. He already looks like a man coming out of high school. So, but yeah, Triple S. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, like we said, he's a name and he's got the tangibles. So you never know until you get your hands on the kid, right? But by early indications, he looks good. It'll be interesting to see, though. I think we'll get a good sense of how confident they are in both Julian Saint and St. Clair, based on if they target a quarterback in the portal. If they do, then I think we'll kind of have our answer on both guys. That if they do, that'll mean A, Tavian St. Clair is not ready to kind of take the reins yet, and B, Julian Saint might not be the guy that we kind of all hope he would be and will be, but. We'll see. That's a big question mark this season on the offense, the quarterback.
Yeah.
Hey, Triple S. Oh, go ahead, Ali.
I was just gonna ask him, like, my biggest question when it comes to who's gonna replace the next guy. We didn't really talk about Jack Sawyer a lot. Jack Sawyer, I think, really helped his draft stock. People were thinking about him as a third round kind of guy. I'm saying second round to late first round for sure now, in my opinion. Who's going to replace Jack Sawyer on this defense? That's a question. We know some people. We have some names that are right behind him, possibly. That I mentioned one of the guys to you that got the sack in the Oregon game that surprised me.
Kane
Curry. So he's a guy I kind of like. But until they're playing and they're starting, we're never going to know. We're not going to really know. So we'll see.
Yeah, I would say to that, even this year, there's even a guy ahead of like the third edge rusher. This year was Kenyatta Jackson. if one guy was to come out, if Sawyer or JT came out for a play or two, they would send in Kenyatta before they would send in Caden Curry. If both guys came out, or every like third or fourth drive, they would put both Kenyatta and Caden Curry in. So I think that Kenyatta is, he's kind of the guy that, again, like he's a name. He got some reps and was semi-productive this year. We'll see what he does with an increased workload. As you know, we were targeting that kid out of Georgia, the transfer. We lost out on him to Mizzou. I was really hopeful that we'd get him because he's a kind of a proven commodity. And if you would have had him, as your kind of top dog, proven commodity, and then have Kenyatta and Caden kind of rolling in as a three-man team, I would have been a lot more confident in that. As it currently stands, even if those two, Kenyatta and Caden, both have good growth and have good seasons behind them, I'm not really sure what kind of depth we have. Edric Houston came in as a highly regarded edge player, but he's moved inside and he rotated this year on the inside, and I think next year he'll probably be our starting 3 technique beside Caden McDonald. I think he'll probably be our starting nose. Maybe Hero Canoe as well. That's another name to look for. That's the thing on the D line, we get some rotation, so those guys are all going to play. But in terms of edges, we kind of maybe have to hope that one of these freshmen comes in and is a stud right off the rip, or a name that we maybe didn't expect, has a great off season and starts impressing in camp and has some major growth. But as it currently sits, edge is it's a bit of a shaky position and a little bit concerning for me if we're going to get the right amount of pressure next year.
Definitely.
I like the tagline. I like the tagline for the next transition. I want to ask Triple S. I'm going to ask you 2 things. One is I want you to get to your bullet points about the nitpicking, and then the 2 I want from Ryan Day, and then because I think you already covered the Will Howard one, and then 2 I want to hear you go ahead and wrap up the season, Bubba.
Sure. When you say the nitpicking, like what exactly are you referring to there?
You had mentioned that you had something you wanted to say about the nitpicking of Ryan Day and Will Howard, and you kind of got on Will Howard with the throw a little bit to the outside. I just wanted to bring that back up so I could hear what you said, what you wanted to say about Ryan Day.
Well, to be honest, what I was referring to is the fact that Will Howard mentioned that Ryan Day and Chip Kelly were both very nitpicky on him, but that's what he needed. If he wants to become an NFL prospect, which he does, that's how it's going to be at that next level. And if you want to develop into being the best prospect you can be, you have to eliminate the little issues, and that gets done by nitpicking. If I had to pick out one thing from Ryan Day in the national championship, and he mentioned it as well in the press conference, and I'm glad you mentioned because this made me think of something, but on the last drive where we were kind of bleeding the clock, we snapped the ball with, I think, maybe 11 seconds on the play clock. And the time was running. They had an injury, did Notre Dame. So the time, temporarily stopped. They got him off the field, and then the ref wound the clock. We let it was like 20 seconds. So we let maybe 9 seconds run off. It was at 11 on the play clock. And then Will Howard snapped the ball. So my nitpick on that would be like, you have to indicate to your quarterback, whether you're screaming, whatever it is, like, hey, let's run another 8 seconds. Snap it with 1, snap it with 2. At least another 7 seconds could have bled off the clock. That would be my nitpick. And like I said, they mentioned it in the presser. I think Will Howard initially started by talking about it, how and he was talking about the nitpicking. He was like, I look back and I really should have waited till lower in the play clock to snap that one. That was on me. And Ryan Day, like with the quickness, interjecting, he said, no, that's not on you. That's on me. As a coaching staff, we need to do a better job of communicating that to you. And I really love that because, a lot of good leaders, I've heard them use this phrase, when you win and have success, it's we, and when you lose and have failures, it's me. And Ryan Day, I think this season has embodied that really well. When they've had failures, he's kind of taken that on. And when they have success, he's just glowing about his players. He hates, bigging himself up in any way, shape, or form. He dishes all the credit out to his coaching staff and his players. So, and what was your
wrap
second
up the season, Bubba?
Nitpicking, and then what was the second part?
Wrap up the season.
Okay. I mean, what else is there to say, right? We're national champions, and we're going to be the defending national champions for not just until next season kicks off, but until the next national champion is crowned, and that might even be us again next year, God willing. So it might even be a good while that we're the reigning champs. So proud of the team. High expectations. They came in saying natty or bust. We had 3 goals. We accomplished one of them, the major one. I missed out on the other 2, but at the end of the day, when the story's told, it'll end with saying Ohio State Buckeyes national champions, and I'm very happy about that.
Heck yeah, dude. Hey, man, I'm telling you what, I truly enjoyed you being on the show, Bubba. I would definitely have you back anytime. And when we do the draft show, you want to come in and either, watch some tape with us, do whatever, please come back.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely, Triple S. I appreciate you 100%, man. Thank you so much.
All right, guys. Be easy.
You too.
Yeah, later, bro. All right, Ali, real quick, I want you to wrap up the season. Then I want to bring up my buddy Ben, and then we'll get to the next couple topics if you want.
What else can I say? It was a hell of a roller coaster. High expectations. A lot of people want to say that Ohio State paid and bought their national championship. I am sorry, that is false. Mike already knows what I'm talking about. If you do any actual research, Ohio State spent, $20 million, but they were not the team that spent the most money this season. It was actually Oregon that was, and there was like 4 teams ahead of us. I want to say Georgia's up there. Texas is definitely up there. And there's several other teams. Yeah, hook 'em. But, my point is that we had high expectations. Yeah, we didn't beat the team up north, but when it counted the most, because really it doesn't matter what we did in that Michigan game. If you really think about it, what mattered is what we did when it mattered the most in the playoffs. And we delivered, right? We delivered the football, no business, all business, no nonsense football, fast start every game. Defense got rocking and rolling every game. And it was exciting. It was high flying. It was nail biting. You at one point even messaged me, you got any fingernails to still chew on? I was like, I don't got fingernails. I got toenails if I can reach them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. But I'm just saying is like,
you're old, bro.
That kind of season. I was trying to be humble about the Notre Dame game. I know that you said that we were going to win no matter what. And if you look at it on paper, yeah, you could probably say that. But when it's that game, I want us to do it right, and we did. And in the end, the legacy will live on, and they will have a lifetime to talk to their children and their children's children that they were national champs and how it happened, right? Like Ryan Days talked about that. So shout out to the Buckeyes. Congratulations. Here's till next year. So that's what I said.
I'll say this. If not my team, yours. At this point, you're my brother. This is a show I hope to do for a long, long time. So if it ain't Texas, maybe Ohio State, I can start getting behind them a little bit more. But I will say this: the tenacity and here's what this is what I'm gonna remember is the 10 guys. I think it was 10. The 10 guys that came back. The 10 guys that went to each other and talked today and said, we're going to come back one more time. And for them to come back and be able to hoist a trophy, guys like Sawyer, JTT, I really think that just goes to show that there's still pride in college football. It's not all about the money. Mm-hmm. And so that was really big for me to hear about the meeting that took place last offseason after the game was over and the decision to all come back. I think that was probably my most favorite part about y'all's season. Just because the reason I like college football, this damn dog will not go away, y'all. She just wants to say hi. But what I love about college football more than pros is the pride. And with the NIL, it's a lot harder to find those players that want to play for pride and aren't going to sit out at halftime. Not speaking about that Miami quarterback, technically, but I just, I thought that was really special. So it was really, really cool. Before we go any further, I do want to bring, if my buddy, is he still in the back?
Yes, he is. He's definitely in the back. Real quick, okay. Before I bring him up though, real quick.
Go ahead. Well, I got to say something about him before you bring him up. So
no problem. Before we end the note on Ohio State, just real quick, going back to the money, right? The $20 million that they had, which wasn't the highest, right? It was 23 by Oregon, 23 million. 90% of that money that was spent was to bring back those 10 players. They weren't going out and buying players from other teams. Yeah, we did bring people in that wanted to transfer because of the situation that they ended up with. But ultimately, it was to bring back their own homegrown players that they already had. And that being said, I don't care. I'm not going to blame or fault a team for doing that. You know what I mean? Just like your defense,
I'm telling you,
you even said it yourself. Your defense, a lot of those people were just coming back home to Texas, right? And I can't fault people for that. So shout out to them for doing it. But go ahead, sir. I didn't mean to interrupt your introduction.
Oh, no, you're good, Bubba. I'm glad you finished on that note. So the guy we're bringing up, he's a little brother to me. He actually watches my girls. Him and his girlfriend watch my girls on Thursday nights when I'm at work. If he's one thing for sure, he's always late with the news on Texas players. To me, he might be the second biggest Longhorn fan aside from me and Matthew McConaughey. Because I think we're toe to toe. Hey, all right. No, but my buddy Ben, I love him to death. He loves the Longhorns, but he also loves college football. And if there's anybody that shares the excitement level as we do for our teams, it's this kid. So yeah, go ahead and bring him up. Red Dirt Williams, Ben. I don't know what he's coming up as tonight, but let's see.
You're muted, sir.
What's up, dude? Hey, you got to hit unmute. Ben, you got to hit unmute.
I'm a little new to this, guys. I'm sorry.
You're good, brother. Welcome on, bro.
Y'all doing good? Yeah, I'm a diehard Longhorn fan, but like Mike said, I love college ball. That's what I live for. I let go of my Dallas Cowboys to watch college football, if that means anything. So that's me, man. Love it.
Well, the Dallas Cowboys. Joke. Yeah, the Cowboys aren't much to let go of anymore, Bubba. Be real about it.
No, yeah.
I kid you not. My best friend in the world, he was a huge, massive Dallas Cowboy fan. His favorite player of all time was Emmitt Smith, right? He let go of that fan base and has embraced the Miami Dolphins fan base now. He's a big Dolphins fan now. But the one thing I can't get him into is college football, because I think he would thrive there, and there's a lot to talk about, like you said. And I wish I could get him there, but that's funny that you were a Dallas fan. It's kind of funny.
Dude, it's been a rough 27 years. So I kind of just gave up, saw what the Horns were doing, saw what college ball was doing in general with all the NIL and all the new aspects that they're going to put in with the 12-man playoff, kind of following after March Madness and whatnot. But it's been a fun little ride.
That's actually funny you brought up the NIL. I'm sorry, Mike. Did you have a question?
Yeah, I would real quick before we get to this. I want to know what your thoughts about the national championship game, Ben. Did you watch it? What were your overall impressions?
So I caught it on allegedly I was driving, right? And I was watching at the same time. So not really, but I watched bits and pieces of it. I was catching it on YouTube TV with Pat McAfee. He was doing his little take on it. It was great. It was very entertaining. But from what I saw, I mean, it was Notre Dame came out playing bully ball for the first 10 minutes, first 18 plays, I think it was, and it was a little record they got to show off, and then they just kind of got beat by Ohio State. That's what it was. I really think the ending factor might have been the field goal, that field goal that Notre Dame decided to take. That was the nail in the coffin for sure. But other than that, hell of a game. I still think the better game of the playoff was Texas, Ohio State. I mean, but your buddy, what was his name? Triple S. He was talking about QBR. And I have it right up here. Will Howard's in the national championship was 99.1, and Riley Leonard's was 88.1. And then during the Longhorn game, it was Howard's was 90. So just seeing that is just like wild in playoffs. It's pretty wild.
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
So
I definitely agree with you 100%. The Texas game was my favorite game. And it was almost just as good as a nail biter as the Notre Dame game, to be honest.
I agree.
But the reason I liked that game, and I have told Mike this several times, I really believe the Longhorns and Ohio State were built very, very similar. Their play, when you look at the talent levels at every position, they're almost exactly the same. Now, I would argue that because of Jeremiah Smith, I think that Ohio State has a little slightly better receiver. Just pointing that out there, and slightly better receiver at Mika Ibuka, to be honest. But I like.
Hang on. I think Golden and Ibuka. I'd give the edge to Golden. Maybe just a little bit.
The only reason I gave it to Ibuka just a tiny bit is he played most of the game, whereas Golden was hurt for some reason. Which, did we ever figure out what his injury was? I was trying to figure that out.
No, but he still. It had something to do with his lower left leg. I think it was his ankle. I don't remember. I haven't been paying attention since he declared he's not a Longhorn anymore. So.
And I was very disappointed that we didn't see more from Isaiah Bond either. So that kind of disappointed me too.
Yeah, but. Man, that was serious. That was seriously the biggest mystery of the season for me as a Longhorn fan was what happened to him, because he took off the first 4 games and then he played hurt, or there was an injury that they didn't talk about or something, because he just wasn't. He was a shell of himself the rest of the year, and jumping to catch balls that he didn't need to jump for and everything. He was just I don't know. But go ahead and ask Ben the question on the screen, because I want to hear his take on it.
So the big question is, and I will give you some feedback, does NIL and transfer portal work? And the reason I'm bringing this up, after last night's victory, I want to say it was on ESPN, they were talking about the college football strategy now is NIL collectives, and the transfer portal. That's how they're winning. I do want to say, before you give me your take, that I felt the college playoff, the 12-team format, definitely worked. I think it made games more exciting. I love the fact that they expanded the field. We saw teams got to play at a very high stage from all over, not just the SEC, not just the Big Ten. You got to see a Big 12 team. You got to see a little bit of everything, right? And in addition to that, a lot of people are concerned because of the fact that this new format of NILs and the transfer portal has hurt the SEC. And while I agree with that, because I don't think that Georgia or Tennessee or the Gators or Texas A&M are as talented as the most of the higher echelon of the Big Ten, such as Ohio State, Oregon, for example. Even I think Michigan's going to get back there. I think this was their transition year. I think they're going to be up there again, right? But you look at the SEC, the only team that seems to compare when it comes to program and having the money to play is Texas. They're one of, if not the highest, they're one of the highest grossing profitable programs in the country, right? So my question is, as a fan, does it work for you?
As a fan, I'm on the fence with it. I mean, no, yes, depends. I like it. I do like it, but at the same time, I think it's annoying. I think it's like these kids are just trying to, or young men, some of them, been in there for about 5 years. I think at a point and another, you just need to stop and realize, like, am I going to be the starter transfer portal wise? Like, how many times can you enter the portal? Like, you can enter as many times, right, as you would want. Why don't we just dumb it down to 2 times, 3 times, and then if you're not the starter for your second, your third transfer, then are you per se good enough to play college ball? that would be my take on it. The NIL, I don't really know much enough to give a take on the NIL, but I did hear something earlier that interests me, that each playoff team, or if you get to the playoffs, you get like the whole conference or something, gets $20 million or something.
Mm-hmm.
What is that going to do for Notre Dame? They're an independent. They get all of that, right?
Yeah.
So, like, I know if I was a ball player and Longhorns offered, I would go Longhorns all day. A&M offered me $1 million and Notre Dame offered me $10 million to go play for them. Which one am I going to take? Am I going to take my rival that's home native, or am I going to go get the bag? I'm going to go get the money.
Yeah, it's true.
So it takes that aspect of it made it a business for sure, more of a business. It kind of made these kids grow up a little faster, get them ready for the NFL. That's how I see it. That's my take. I understand. I don't know enough to give a good take on it, I think.
I understand. That's okay. Mike, do you have any follow-up to what he had to say, or can I go ahead and respond back to him?
No, you go ahead. I'll finish this question up on my own.
Okay. So essentially, I think what it's done a lot of different things, and we have to look at it objectively at different angles, right? As a player, you have a lot more options. You have a lot more options now because not only do you have a chance to develop yourself into your craft and become more productive, to have a lot more to build up your resume and get drafted a lot higher in the NFL. But it also allows you the ability to say, hey, I could leave for the NFL and maybe make $1 million or $2 million per year, or I can stay an extra year in college, right? Make a quick, let's say $10 million. I'm just using math like what you did, right? Yeah. And if I end up becoming big, at least I got this 10 million in 1 year to show for it. If I don't make it big, I have it to show for it, or it may help me and then maybe I become a first round talent, to be honest, right?
Which is great. I love it.
And in addition, it keeps you in college a little bit longer. You also have the ability to obviously graduate and get your degree, so you have something to fall on no matter what, right? Yeah. So how I look at it, it's like extra insurance money to put in the bag or the bank, so you can make sure if anything happens, you have some savings there. That's how I would look at it, because I would treat it as a business. Now, here's the other thing. Most NIL deals now are just as much or more than what people in the second, third, and fourth rounds are going to get, right? That's what's keeping talent still in college, and they're elevating them up to being at least first round talent, possibly, right? That's why I think a lot of these players like Jack Sawyer, using players on my own team, JT Tamalalo, came back for, right? Even your players that on your team, I think you said there was like your whole secondary came back this year or something like that for Texas.
Yeah, Makuba, Jade. Yeah, Makuba, Jade Barron, and Makuba and Jade Barron came home, and Michael Taft's just a lifer. He'll be in college till he retires or till he graduates.
Yeah, so those guys, to be honest, you told me, they came back, and I think that's a good thing because, it helps develop them and set them up for more success in the future. But also, even if they weren't going to be having that big time future, it gives them an extra insurance policy to have something to fall on, so they're not just left without anything. That's how I look at it. I do think there needs to be limits to the portal, though. I definitely agree with that. I don't know if you guys saw, there's a punter. I forget what state. I want to say he goes to like
32.
East Carolina.
Yeah, they mentioned it in chat earlier. He's 32 years old.
What? He's 32?
Yes. That guy has an 8-year career.
Stuff, man.
The guy has had an 8-year career, right? The tight end from the Hurricanes had an 8 or 9-year career. I was like, what is he, a doctor? That's really what I wanted to ask, right?
God, yeah. getting
so
massive.
for me, there has to be limits, even though I think there needs to be limits not only to the portal, but how long your eligibility lasts as well. That's where I'm at.
Yeah.
So I'll wrap this topic up for sure. So I got a couple things. One, CCRR just gave me a great idea. If you're going to get an NIL money, you should probably get a contract and therefore guarantee that you stay at least 3 years. Honestly, I wish they would go back to the old days where you had to play at least 3 years of college ball before you could enter the draft. But I think contracts with NIL is a good start to kind of limit the just the money going everywhere. I do think the transfer portal, I have my own feelings about it. One of them being that I think you should only be able to transfer if your head coach leaves because he recruited you, or if you have a catastrophic injury and you lose a whole season and you want to go somewhere else to rehab, or you want to, you're losing your spot to an underclassman because of your injury. Maybe then you can transfer. I think it needs to wait till after all the bowl games are done. I don't think we need this crap being able to transfer during bowl season. But the NIL money, I think I mean, who are we kidding? It's been going on for years. It's just been under the table, but now it's public, and so now it's more of a enticement, I guess. But I do think you should lose your scholarship if you get money, because if you're getting paid to play football, you shouldn't be getting paid to go to school too. You should have to pay for your scholarship. So that opens up a scholarship for another kid. They may not be getting the NIL money, but he needs he deserves the same chance you have. You're making $1 million. Don't be paying for don't let the school pay for your school too. Give that opportunity to another kid. But I do think it's working. I do think you're seeing a lot of the smaller schools though. They are hurting. But I do think that there's a lot more of these alumnus that are now going back to their old school that do have money and like, hey, I'll pay for a top quarterback, and they're offering, and the ability to do that now I think is a plus for the NIL. But as far as the transfer portal, I think it's a joke, honestly. I at this point you've got, and CCRR said it in the draft or in the chat, is it's just making a soft generation softer. You got kids that don't want to work hard anymore. They don't want to put in the work to earn their spot on the depth chart. They just, oh, well, I'm third on the depth chart. I can't pass these two guys. I'm going to go somewhere else where they don't have somebody that's anywhere like me. So I'll start right off the bat. And I just think it's a wussy way out. But as far as the overall product, I think you're seeing some of the best college football players, some of the best teams that we've seen in a long time. And I mentioned to Ben all season, for me, this is the best Longhorn team since 2005. I think it definitely, aside from the quarterback, I don't think we had more collective talent than we've had since 2005. And that's including the 2006 team, that's including the 2008 team. I just think that this year we were able to bring in some major talent. And I think our underclassmen, it's where I kind of think Texas has an edge on a lot of the teams that are coming back next year as far as national title. Is the young guys that they have, the Colin Simmons, the Silas Bolden, the CJ Baxter. Like, we got a lot of guys, Anthony Hill Jr., a lot of the guys in the secondary, a lot of the guys in the linebacker core, the front seven. It's a lot of underclassmen that'll be back, and so that's kind of, I think that's where Sarkisian maybe has a leg up on a lot of other schools right now, is building that pipeline of young talent coming in. That showed up this year. So they're going to be sophomores next year. They're going to be juniors next year. And so now they're really going to start working. I think it's going to look a little better, but I do think it works. Just needs to be limited. Just definitely need to tweak it a little bit.
I definitely agree with you. I do think it definitely works. It does need to have tweaks, but this whole format, even with the college playoff format, needs to be tweaked just a little bit, right? I would say specifically maybe balance out the seedings a lot more. There was teams that had buys. I didn't think they deserved it. In fact, all the buy teams went 0-4. Can you believe that?
Loved it.
I loved it. You loved it. I know you loved it. Here, this is what I'll tell you. This is what I tell you.
You had a real quick before I'll let you go. You had a 7-8 in the championship. So I did that. That's proof that it's working.
Yeah, 100%. And here's the other reason, proof in the pudding, right? I think I told you this, and I think I said it on an episode earlier, one of our earlier episodes, Mike. Ohio State in its games averaged like 20 million views every game, right? I want to say the Texas Ohio State game was the all-time viewed game in college history, I want to say. That's how many people watched it. It was like something ridiculous when the amount of people that watched that game. And in my opinion, the Texas Ohio State game, you could have just said that was your national championship game. That's how balanced of teams they both were, how exciting it was, nail biting. It was everything. That was my favorite game, to be honest. I'm sorry you guys lost, but at least and you mentioned it. At least we lost to the champs. You said that, Mike. I would have said the same thing if you guys.
We lost to the champs.
Because I felt whoever came from our side, even if it was Oregon versus Texas, right? I said our side of the bracket was going to be the one that was most battle tested, and it was. Every game from the start to finish on our side of the bracket was like, wow, this is like the Royal Rumble of college football, if you really want to call it. The other side, give credit to Coach Franklin and Penn State. I didn't really think much of them, to be honest. I like Abdul Carter. Adler, I think, needs to develop for another year. Outside of that, they just have a run game, right? I don't think they threw a single pass. I think we said in that game they needed to throw more, right? I think it was, or was it Notre Dame that didn't throw the ball at all and still beat them? That was ridiculous.
Notre Dame, man, that was ridiculous. But Greathouse, hey, I'll tell you what.
He has a tight end. Go ahead.
Yeah, but I'm gonna have to go watch some tape on Greathouse because I think he was I think he was a victim of his quarterback. That kid has some talent, dude.
Yes, Greathouse has some talent. I also like the tight end from Penn State, Warren, I think his name is.
Yep.
I really want to going back to your guys' first round game, the game against who was it against? Not your first round, the second round game that you guys had. Arizona State, right? That game was one hell of a nail biter, but it was good. Even though I thought you guys would blow the water out of them, they made it so interesting. I know you guys didn't like it, but I loved it because it brought excitement. It brought unpredictability to the game, and that's something I really enjoyed about, right?
Hey, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, hey, Ben, go ahead and wrap. Not just Texas, but wrap up the college football season, and then we're gonna get you out of here.
Man, I think it was a very good. I think it was awesome, dude. It was the first time we had a 12-team playoff. It was the first time that you had. First time. I don't know. I'm all a jumble right now. It was amazing. I loved it. It was great. It was really the first year I watched every single game, not just the Texas Longhorns, but I watched Ohio State. I would catch into the Boise State. I'd watch Travis Hunter and the Colorado Buffs. I watched all of it, and I loved it. I really enjoyed the playoffs the most, and that's what I'm looking forward to seeing what they tweak next year. Maybe they should do a two teams like the NFL instead of 4 teams. Maybe they should do 16, 14 teams, something like. Maybe we could change it up.
Ben, are you familiar with the Joel Klatt? He put out how he would fix the college football playoff. Did you listen to him? I think
that's where I got that idea from. He had the 2 team set it up like the NFL.
Yeah, he has it where it should be a 14-team playoff, just like the NFL. He basically wants to copy the NFL for the most part when it comes to the format. Having the 2 teams being the bye teams only, and then having like your wild card, divisional, and then your semifinal, obviously, right? I would love that too. What I really want to see is the selection committee removed from the process. And the reason I say that is, did SMU really need to be there? I didn't think they deserved. They didn't have a win against a successful program that's above 500, a really good one. You know what I mean? Even Miami, I'll argue that Miami Hurricanes, even though they didn't have a win against one of these upper echelon teams. I think the most highest ranked team they played was Louisville. I don't even think they were ranked at that time. That was the hope that they would be.
Yeah.
I think that they had more deserving to be there than SMU did, right? When it comes to talent, if that's how they're selecting them. Yeah. I understand that SMU got in because they were in the ACC championship game, but I think that shouldn't automatically qualify you. It should qualify you if you won it, yes, right? But I think there should be other qualifiers in the event you didn't win it that gets you in or not selected, right? Ohio State, to give you an example, we didn't win our championship. We didn't even get to participate in the Big Ten championship. But what we did do is we beat teams that were ranked during the season. I want to say we beat like 4 top 25 teams during the season, right? And 2 of them were in the top 15. I want to say at the time, Penn State being one of them, we won the game regardless. Yeah. You go and look at, we beat Oregon, we beat Tennessee, we beat Texas, and now we beat Notre Dame. No other team has gone through the gauntlet like that. Those were all qualifiers, in my opinion, one way you look at it. I think there needs to be more of that for other teams to be able to get in, right?
Hey, let's be honest. Y'all got lucky after losing to Michigan because of the playoff format.
Yeah. We were already in it.
Hey, I gotta throw a little shade. I gotta throw a little shade on Ohio State. Come on now.
No, it's okay. I agree with you. We were lucky that we were already projected to be in the playoffs at that point.
Well, no, I'm just saying if it was the playoff of last year, y'all wouldn't have been in. That's where the luck came into play. That's why I think the format worked, and that's why I keep bringing up we had a 7 versus 8. You would have never had a 7 versus 8. You would have which means the best team in the country may not have been in the national championship. So if you're looking at it from that standpoint, I do think it's working. But it is what it is. But I definitely think that's one way that it's working. But I agree with some of these people in the chat. They're, Alabama, South Carolina, Miami, Ole Miss.
I was just about to say, what about South Carolina?
Yeah, they would. I just think they would have been better than SMU. And honestly, Arizona State shocked me. Because right before that game, Ali, you and I both said, let's be honest, they both don't belong. But at the end of the day, the Oregon being number 1, was their schedule flawed? Because the fact that they got waxed by Ohio State, who they had beat on a technicality earlier in the season, number 1 all year. So back in the BCS days, you would have had 1 versus 4, and so or you would have had the BCS would have been 1 versus 2, and you would have seen what would it have been. Well, because of the new seeding, I don't even know how to try to figure out what it would have been. But what up, Dolphin Don? But hey, Ben, love you, bro. We'll get you back on later in the season. Thanks so much for coming in, though, and I'm gonna have to give you my ring light so we can get you. I can't even see you. You're just like all I see is Texas, which is cool. I'm cool with that.
Is that better?
So. No, it's your light, bro. We got to get you a light. That way we can see. We can see. Your camera looks like it's from 1998, bro. It's like the first webcam ever invented.
Yeah, it's pretty bad over here too, man. Well, I appreciate y'all having me on. It was a blast. I loved every minute of it. Hey, I actually had a question for you, Ali. For the next 4 years, right? If you had to lose to the team up north for 4 more years, would you take another championship 4 years from now? But you have to lose to Michigan for 4 more years.
If I'm winning and I'm the national champion every year, if it meant that I had to lose to Michigan every year, so be it.
No. He said, would you take 4 more years of losing to Michigan before your next natty?
8 years in a row. 8 years in a row. 4 more years until you win a natty. Would you do it? Would you want it?
No. Here's the thing. I want to be clear about that.
That's a great question.
It absolutely 100% sucks that we're losing to our rivals. It so happens that me and Mike's favorite pro team loses to its rival every year, Buffalo. Right?
Every year.
We have a Buffalo in how many years, bro? Yeah, I mean, we won luckily.
Has Tua ever beat them?
Years ago, but still, we haven't.
I think we got close. I think the closest we got to beating Buffalo is when Skylar Howard was playing quarterback. Twice.
Skylar Thompson, you mean Skylar Thompson.
Skylar Thompson, thank you. Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
We actually
He's gone
lost
now, so I don't care about him anymore.
We also lost by 3 points again. The both times Tua played them, except for the first game. The second game, same thing happened. But long story short is this. If you're not going to win national championships, you better build your team to either win the Big Ten, and that means beating Michigan, right? Yep. So that's where I'm at. I do expect next year, it's probably not going to be a natty run, right? We got a technically a rookie quarterback. He hasn't played very much. We'll see what happens with that. But we have a lot of talent, so I expect this to be very competitive for the Big Ten, and that means you have to beat Michigan. So at some point, it's going to happen. Now, I know I don't want to bring it up too much on this show yet. I'm going to wait till some information comes out, but stay tuned. There might be some more cliffhanger stuff that's coming out when it comes to Michigan. Michigan has some stuff that's going to happen to them that it's a long time coming. Let's just put it that way. And I think they were waiting for the end of the season. Good. All
right, Ben. We'll take it easy, Bubba.
Hook 'em. Thank y'all for having me on.
Definitely.
Yeah, later, bro.
Later. All right.
Kick him off. Kick him off, Ali. Kick him off.
I did. I kicked him off for you.
I love the guy.
That's how you treat your friends. Yeah. I'm afraid to come over to your place, man. Damn.
Oh no, I love him. His house is my house. No, but hey, so before we get into the end of the show and everything, you had a special cause, and I was really interested in it. So you want to go ahead and let's hit it up?
Yeah, sure. And actually, thank you for
guys. For those of you that don't know, and for those of y'all just watching in, maybe this is your first show. First of all, thank you to all the chat for the interaction and the questions and the comments, and some of the right counter is definitely strong right now. But I do appreciate y'all being here. This is Ali and I we're gonna hit the ground running. We're gonna do this every other week. We're gonna bring you some great content, some great interviews. It's just two guys that love college ball and just happen to be one Ohio State fan. I won't hold it against him. I did give him my homage by using my Scarlet Red microphone tonight. And, Texas is the best school in the country. I forget what anybody else says. But we appreciate y'all being here. And we are going to shout out a cause every week. So if any of y'all want to leave a cause that you definitely want us to look into, please do. We will do our due diligence to look into it and do it right by giving it a shout out. Go ahead, Ali. What you got this week?
Just give me 2 more shakes. What I had brought up, it's here it is. I found it.
While you're looking, everybody's pretty they're shocked. I brought it up in chat that the caterpillar is gone, bro. They want to know what happened to it.
Oh man, you had to bring that up, didn't you? All right. The whole point of me growing my facial hair started in November, right? As No Shave November.
No Shave November.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And the whole point was to just let it grow out until the end of the season. And I wanted to wait to the entire football season, because football isn't just NFL. It's college football included in that, was over. And then I would start my January, what do they call that? My things that I want to do for the new year. Basically.
New Year's resolution. Yeah.
Resolution, which is to become more healthier. That's basically what my New Year's resolution is going into. Now, the cause for today is not quite, it's 2 parts. And I have to preface it this, because one part is more of a motto and a way of thinking. The other part is the actual cause. So some of you, or whoever of you, have all watched the national championship game, and we're watching the pregame and everything. You may have seen that they had a segment on Jack Sawyer and why he writes on his armbands and his tape and everything, game tape and everything, JBS Strong. You may not have known this, but JBS Strong is in light of another younger Ohio State person, not Ohio State person, a person that was born with the same name as Jack Sawyer, right? And from the get-go, that person, Jack Sawyer, the younger one, was a huge Ohio State fan, loved the team, always followed the team, wanted to play for Ohio State, and also really looked up to Jack Sawyer. At a very young age, he was diagnosed with something called Ewing's sarcoma. I apologize if I didn't say that correctly, so don't hate me. But it's a type of bone cancer. And unfortunately, he had to have multiple treatments and everything. Well, this got to Jack Sawyer. Jack Sawyer found out this person had the same name as him. He was a big-time Ohio State fan. If you know anything about Jack Sawyer, he is one of those homegrown men that love where they're from, love being from Ohio, love Ohio State, will be a lifer. You called it a lifer, Mike, earlier, right? That's the embodiment of Jack Sawyer. Well, Jack Sawyer reached out to him and sent him a poster signed by him that also included a personal letter to him and everything. And basically, from the gist of it, it was about, I really look up to you. And he's talking to the younger Jack Sawyer because the fact that you're constantly fighting, and you remind me when I'm not winning or I'm not doing what I need to do, that I got to keep fighting and rise above it, right? Well, the younger Jack Sawyer at one point was told he was in remission and everything, and he was cleared. Only to several months later, it came back. And unfortunately, he passed away, right? But JBS Strong was a motto that Jack Sawyer took on as a reminder to keep fighting, even in the darkest times. And in light of Jack Sawyer, the younger Jack Sawyer, the cause that I'm going to bring out today, it's not specific to Jack Sawyer and him specifically, but it does have to do with Ewing's sarcoma. If you can, go to the Charlie Landers Foundation or the charlielandersfoundation.org. Their mission is to raise awareness, provide critical support to pediatric and young adult patients, and fund research to find a cure for Ewing's sarcoma. Basically, they say together we can strike out Ewing's sarcoma. The Charlie Landers Foundation was founded to honor the legacy of Charlie Landers, who passed away after a violent 2.5-year battle against Ewing's sarcoma. Through his foundation, Charlie Landers' legacy of strength, perseverance, courage, and compassion for others will guide us on our mission to support Ewing's patients and fund research that leads to a cure. Since the foundation was started, they have raised close to $1 million, delivered comfort kits to patients in over 25 hospitals across the U.S., formed a medical advisory board of leading doctors, researchers to help accumulate grants and research dollars in search of new treatments, with the end goal of developing a cure that strikes out Ewing's sarcoma once and for all. So for more information, if you'd like to donate, find out about, different things that they have, events, or, how they can help you. Maybe you know somebody with Ewing's sarcoma. Definitely go to the charlielandersfoundation.org. And again, I want to preface it that the TFTG and 4th and 10U do not have any specific relation or partnership with that foundation. We are just here to bring the cause into light. So maybe somebody that could definitely get help from these causes. You can pass the word on. That's really what we are here for. We're not paid to provide information or anything like that. We're just here to do the Lord's work and spread the word, so you know what options that you have in the event maybe one of these causes can help you or someone that is close to you or that you know. But that is the cause for tonight. So the big question is, Mike, what's next? What do you got coming up on the dock?
What's next, dude?
For the show? Well,
man, I go ahead, buddy. This is all you right here, and I'll close this out with what's going on in 2 weeks.
Okay. Well, I will say this for sure. Number one, we have over 70 people watching the show upon Twitch, YouTube, and X. So thank you so much for everything you guys do. If you can, please come over to the YouTube side, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. In addition to that, if you could go to X, you can follow us at 4th and 10U. Again, that's at 4th and 10U. You can definitely follow us there. I just created a brand new Twitter account. And as that being said, there's some news I'm about to drop. So number one, I specifically have already started writing articles that I'm going to start releasing on our Twitter page. And you guys can go there and read them. I'm going to be covering several different younger college players and commits that are coming in to start their career in college for, throughout all different college teams, not just Ohio State or Texas or Notre Dame or the Big Ten. We'll be covering SEC teams. We'll be covering Pac-12, Big 12, Mountain West teams, ACC, the MAC conference. Let's not forget about them. Toledo is a team. I'm from that area, so I can definitely cover players that they have there as well. So we're going to be putting out articles. This is more of the biggest news that I have for you. Starting this college football season, I know a lot of you know that my Sundays are already taken up with my favorite pro team, right? But this college season, I'm going to make it a point to go to virtually every major school in Florida college football game. So that means a Hurricane game that I'm going to attend, watch the game, as well as interview fans alike that are there. I'm going to go to a Florida State game and interview people and watch the game there. I'm going to go to a Gator game. I might even go to what do they call it? University of Central Florida game, a UCF game. Why not? Knights, go Knights, that people say. But I think this is more of the biggest news. Speaking of Ohio State and Texas, Mike, Ohio State and Texas play each other in the 2025 season. How awesome would it be that you and I go to that game, and before the game, we stream live at the game?
Yeah, dude.
So that is something we're working on. I will confirm and put it out there when it happens. But yeah, I'm going to be going to college football games around the country. And I do plan on visiting Atlanta, near where my daughter lives, for a Falcons versus Miami game there for the Dolphins. But I think that weekend I'm gonna find out if Georgia has a home game that weekend, that Saturday. I'm gonna try to go to that game too. So I thought that would be awesome.
I need to get you down here for the Red River rivalry. It'd be my first time going too, so I'll work on seeing if we can get some tickets out there. Can't promise anything, but that would be dope to experience that with you, because there ain't nothing like it. That field literally splits 50-50 all the way around the stadium. It's pretty dope. But yeah, dude, I'm stoked, man. I'm stoked to see you and to be able to talk to you while you're at the games. It's gonna be super fun. I think 4th and 10U is about to be a long fun show that we get to do. As far as and you got anything else? I think that was it, right?
That was just the big major news that we're going to have boots on the ground. 4th and 10U is going to be all over the place. I know you're going to be going to games that might be closer to you. I've told some people privately that I am going to be within the next year. I might be on the road traveling a lot. With that, I'm going to be visiting a lot of different campuses, going to games, interviewing people. We also have, I had some special guests up here. A lot of you may not have expected that. We are going to start having more special guests that are going to come in here. And stay tuned. We may have some players or parents of players that might be visiting the show at some point too. So that is something we're working on. It's exciting times over here. Mike, I cannot wait. It's going to be a wonderful season next season too.
Everybody say hi to Marley.
Hi, Marley.
Oh, yeah, she's a brat. She's been trying to get on camera the whole show. No, but dude, I'm really excited about the show. I'm super thankful to be on it with you. CCRR, you've been for almost 4 years now. You've been wanting me to give you some takes on some college players, and it's coming up. Alfred Collins will be one of them. We're gonna have a draft show, draft preview. I think it's gonna be a 2 or 3 week episode that we do. At the end of it, we'll probably try and give our mock draft. But starting in 2 weeks, I think what day would that be? The let me look at the calendar really quick. So we'll be back on the 4th. Or February 6th when the episode will release. But on the 4th, we'll be recording our draft show, draft preview, the first of them. It's going to be super fun. We're going to watch so much tape. I'm going to try and get one of my buddies. He's on the FM radio down here in Texas. And if I can get him to find some time in his schedule, trying to get him come on and give you some of his take on some of the players. He's given us some that we're going to watch on, but it's going to be lots of tape. I'm really, did I run out of peanut butter? No, I did not run out of peanut butter, Michael K. But it's going to be super fun. The draft preview, and I have a list of players. I'll give you my top 20. I guess I'll just do the top 32. I won't. It's not going to be the draft, the mock draft, but I'll tell you who my top 32 prospects are. Ali's going to watch a bunch of tapes too. It's going to be something fun. It's something I've never done. I've done it, but not to deliver y'all a product like we're going to deliver. It's a work in progress. We're killing it. We're having fun. We love the crowd. We love the chat. The right counter. I think you're going to go on the under tonight, Ali. Just don't talk anymore, and you're going to say you're not going to hit the 84.5. So I think we did good.
Yeah, I took the under as well. I will say this real quick. You mentioned mock draft real quick. That's something that we're going to do different than mock drafts that we've done here on the TFTG before. We've always drafted for our team. This time, I think we're going to do the first, maybe the second round too, but most likely the first. And it's going to be for the entire mock draft of the first round for each team. And it's going to be very unique because I don't think we've ever tried to draft for other teams before, right? I mean, am I the Giants? Do I take a flyer on a quarterback, or do I sit pat, take the best player available, and wait till next year to do my quarterback? There's a lot of things you got to think about in that. You know what I mean? So for me, it's gonna be very exciting. Like I said, we're gonna look at tape. 20 some hours or more of tape. I know I'm being blown up. It is going to be a multiple episode. Maybe even for the mock draft, because I would say probably the first episode is going to be 1 through 10 and so on. I think that's what it's going to come down to.
And it's a broken record, but y'all, please hit the like button. Send the show out to your friends. Let's get the whole TFTG crew in here on every other Tuesday to start watching, and we'll surprise you with some more live shows going forward. But for the most part, go ahead and share the show whenever we stream it live or whenever we release it. But appreciate all y'all being here. And Lee, go ahead and wrap it up, Bubba.
Well, anyway, I'd like to thank everyone for joining us. Make sure you hit the like button, just like Mike said. Go to Twitter, follow us at 4th and 10U, right? That's the handle. You see it there at the bottom. Go ahead and follow us. Brand new channel there. We're going to be putting out articles, like I said. Real quick answer to CCRR. He's asking, what does the new Ohio State quarterback look like? I will tell you, he is a 5-star prospect. He's a transfer from Alabama his freshman season because Nick Saban left. He decided to transfer to Ohio State. He looked really good during the spring game. I honestly thought that there was a chance that this Will Howard guy that I've been very high on this past several games, I didn't think he was going to pan out. I thought we'd move to Saban. But I will say that even though he's there, the guy behind him, St. Clair, is a special guy. And there's definitely going to be an article written on him. That's going to probably be my first article that I release. So definitely stay tuned for that. That's what I will say. But thank you for showing up. Congratulations to the Ohio State Buckeyes. Congratulations for what I call a successful college season altogether, hands down. Next year from this get-go, 4th and 10U. I cannot wait. It's going to be amazing. And with that, I love you all. Till the next episode.